Hey there. So today I am working a little bit on my ICAPGen prep. So I thought I would take you kind of behind the scenes and show you what I'm doing to prepare and what tool I'm using and all of that kind of fun stuff. So real quick, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Julie Cahill-Tar with Genealogy in Action, and I provide tips and tricks to make your genealogy life easier and more productive so you can find your elusive ancestors quickly and confidently. So if you're a dedicated genealogist looking to up-level your research skills, you are in the right place. So again, today I want to take you behind the scenes and kind of show you how I'm prepping for the ICAPGen level 2 and level 3 testing. So let's switch over to the computer and I'll show you how. Okay, so here we are. I am using Notion. It is kind of an all-in-one tool that kind of does everything like Trello, Asana, Evernote, Airtable, all sorts of different types of programs. Like this is one that does kind of everything, which is why it's my tool of choice. I pretty much have not used any of my other tools since a year ago, actually. I started using Notion in December of 2021, and I have not looked back. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, you can use any tool. In fact, right now I am using my Word versions of my locality guides in order to get that information that I collected years ago into locality guides. I just use like tables and Word and things like that. And I'm currently using those to build my locality guides in Notion. So hence the reason I'm on the locations tab for the ICAPGen level 2 testing. Well, for the whole accreditation process, you have to choose a region. So the region I chose is the Great Lakes region, which is Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin. And they advise you to have, for like level 2 and level 3 testing, they advise you to have like these research guides or locality guides or whatever. And part of it's because it's supposed to be kind of fast pace. Like you don't have time to go to Google and Google every single answer. You could try, but my guess is you probably wouldn't succeed. So the point is to prep enough where you kind of retain a lot of the information and you don't need to look it up. And then also have it at the ready so that all you have to do is point and click and get your answer. You don't have to go to Google and try to find the answer and surf through, the first couple of results to find your answer. So it's okay to do that for a couple of questions, but I think what their point is you're not going to have time to do that for every single one. So you want to be as ready as you can be. So I am creating two different types of guides. One is a locality guide, which is something like I said, I already have some. They just need to be updated because I haven't worked on them in a while and I haven't even worked in the locations for a while. So for me, it's really about getting what I have in here and then also updating. The other thing I'm going to create are source guides. So we have to know a variety of sources. And for each region, they kind of give you an indication of things you must know very well, things you must have good working knowledge of, and then other sources where you just have to have some familiarity. So I'll show you how I've kind of designated that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create source guides and be really heavy-handed on like those must know very well ones. And not so heavy-handed on the some familiarity one. So I will talk a little bit more about that when we get into the location because I do have that set up in there as well. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to go into Illinois and go full screen. And basically, I just have this page that has a bunch of toggles on it. Otherwise, if they were all open, it would be like scroll, 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 because there's a lot of stuff in here. And there will be more. So real quick, I'll just show you kind of what I've been pulling together. So like this first toggle, I have a brief history, which I don't really have fleshed out yet. I need a short description here that I was going to add. I don't have it yet. I have some information on migration, but it is not in any way, shape, or form. Um, it is not complete. Um, so I'm very thankful to William Dollarhide for his 2 new volumes of American migration routes, because that will come in very handy. This is a weak point for me and one I will be studying. I have a list of the Illinois constitutional history, beginning with when it was part of the Northwest Territory. Um, and then I have a timeline that I've started that just has some basic information in it, the historical information, but then eventually I'm going to go ahead and put in things like when vital records started and, things like that that are also relevant to the state's history. I also have this toggle here, which is quick references. So let's say that I'm trying to save time and I don't want to Google for results, right? And have to go through several results, right? But I know I can probably find the answer in the Family Search Wiki. Well, this is where I can come and do it. So I can just head here, click here. I don't have to Google for it. I don't have to type in the address. I don't have to go to Family Search and then look for the wiki. I just literally can come here, click on it, boom, I'm in the wiki for Illinois specifically. So it's going to save me like 5 steps to get to this, right? So I have that for Family Search Wiki, Red Book, the catalog for Family Search, Cindy's List, and others. Whoops. So that's kind of what I decided to do there, so that if it's something I don't have in my locality guide or my source guide, I have a quick reference to get somewhere that I think it might be, the answer might be. Okay, so then I have a toggle here for maps and gazetteers. So this first one is maps. And the really cool thing about Notion is that you can embed some websites, and Google Maps is one of those. So you can see I can actually use it right here, and I can make it bigger or smaller with these little handles here. But I don't want to make it too ginormous because I'm not using it right now. But I can zoom in just as if I were on Google's website. So, and then here I have additional maps. I have some Northwest Territory maps. I have a county map, a present day county map. I also have an IRAD map, and the IRAD is an acronym for the Illinois Regional Archives Depository. So there's a state archives and they have certain records. And then there's these regional depositories that certain like the counties that are within these little colored areas, that's where their governmental records would go if they wanted to archive them. So for example, McLean County, which is in central Illinois, their records go to the IRAD, which is part of, well, not part of, but it's housed on the Illinois State University's campus. So in case you're familiar with or not familiar with that and want to know more, there you go. But these are actually part of another database. So you can see this little icon here, these little books that are like right in front of the title. Well, if I come over to my menu here, you see this one right here, references and its resources. And you see this same little icon. That's because that's the database that it's coming from. So I have references and resources. It's a database that has things like maps, for example, or gazetteers, or books, or wikis, or whatever type of reference material or resources that can help me with my research. That's where that all goes. So we should see the same thing here, and we don't, because I apparently did not set it up. So why not? I will go ahead and show you how to do that. But I'm typing in linked with a D to get this linked view of database, because I want to go to that references and resources database. And then you see it pulls up all this stuff. And it's like, okay, great. I really don't need all of this stuff, but here it all is. But what I'm going to do is I am going to filter it by type. So my reference type would be a gazetteer. And I want to make this an advanced filter, and I'm going to add another rule. So when the reference type is gazetteer and the location, my related location, wherever that is, locations is Illinois. And I do have one in here. So it's name index to Illinois local government. So I thought I had one in there, but I'm surprised I didn't have the thing set up, because it actually should have been set up in my template. So that's a little, I have to go look into that a little bit. But we won't do that right now. I can change this database or this view, not database, view title from all reference materials to just like gazetteers. And there we are. So that was quick. Get rid of that. And then I have a toggle for boundary changes, and we will get the Atlas of Historical County Boundaries from the Newberry Library. And again, this particular one is embeddable and it is usable. You'll see, I mean, the animations are actually, it just did go a second ago. But I can actually use this map. So if I want to go to Illinois and view the interactive map, I can do so. You can see this is what Illinois was as of 1809. This is what it was as 1816. Let's go a little closer into the future to 1854, and looks a little bit more like what we have today. So the nice thing is I don't have to leave Notion to go use this map, nor do I have to do it to use the Google map if I wanted to, the present day Google map. So that's kind of a cool little feature. I have a tab for counties. I keep calling them tabs. I don't know why, but they're toggles. And right now I have a link to Redbook with the map. It shows the map, and then it has all of it has that table, because it's the online version, and it has that table that shows when the county was formed. Let's see what else. When vital records started, when probate records started, what the county seat is, if there's parent parent counties, things like that. And then there's also this link. I have a link to county fact sheets on the Illinois State Archives website, which also has additional information about the different counties. This is kind of the main crux of this entire project because of the the ICAPGen prep. But real quick, I have a few other things in here that I just want to make a point to mention. So one of the other things we have to be aware of is the major genealogical and historical society publications. So I have a toggle for that just has the 3 listed, because I really don't know of any other major ones. So if anybody out there is watching, you know of a major one for Illinois besides these 3, please let me know. Okay, and then I also have repositories in this location. So I have a listing started. This isn't everything, but it's like these IRADs here. So like Northern Illinois University, Illinois Regional Archives Depository, IRAD, the State Archives, the State Library, the Newberry Library, the ALPL, which is the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library, What else is on here? And just a bunch of the IRADs. I still have more to add to this, but these are repositories in this location. But I also have repositories that cover this location. So for example, NARA at Chicago, and why that wasn't in the list in this location is it should have been, because it's in Chicago. But this is one of those things that covers this location. But this NARA will also appear in, I think, all of my Great Lakes states, because I believe that it covers all of Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I know Michigan is one of them for sure, but I could be wrong about the others. But I think that's where most of those records are. So this one will appear in probably all of my other states for the ICAPGen stuff. And then I have other things in here too. And again, I'm still building this. I've kind of just been playing around with it, trying to get it set up more so than anything, and just kind of putting stuff in to test it really. And then I just have stuff related to my research, which we won't get into because that has nothing to do with anything that has to do with ICAPGen. So we're going to go back up here, and this is the general information on record types. So what I did is I created a listing of the different record types that we are supposed to be familiar with at least. And you'll notice that I have them colored in red, yellow, and green. And what that actually stands for is the green are those must know very, very, very well. And then the yellow are the ones that are you should have a good working knowledge of, and then the red are the have some familiarity with. I have familiarity with all of these, but I wanted to make sure that as I was going through this, if I was running out of time, that I would be focusing highly on the green ones, then the yellow ones, and then the red ones if I have time to add anything to it. And basically, it's just basic information at this point. Like I started working on the census one. So I have information about the state archives has name index to early Illinois records, which is a statewide index to the 1820, 30, 40, and 50 federal censuses. The 1820, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 55 state censuses, and the 1810 and 1818 territorial censuses. That's pretty cool. I don't know that I will need to know that, but for future reference, I have that information right there. And then apparently there were also, which I didn't know this until I started looking, there are 3 French colonial censuses that name Illinois settlers, one in 1726, one in 1732, and one in 1752. And then I have it broken down by federal, territorial, and state censuses, and then I just have a listing. And then I have links to where they are and whether or not they're extant or not, the type of schedule it is. Because then when we get to like 1850, for example, we start getting agricultural, we have a mortality schedule, industry schedules, things like that. So I have each of them in here, whether they're extant, and then the links to ancestry and or family search. So in some cases like this one here, they're in both places. Other times, like this mortality one is only at ancestry. If they happen to be offline, I would have information in this column stating where they are offline. But for Illinois, I don't think we had any. Nope, there were none. They were all online somewhere. And then notes. So for example, this Illinois territorial one, it's only partial and it's only Randolph County, which there weren't very many counties in 1810. So, but still, it was only one county. And then that 1891, Illinois actually does have a little teeny tiny piece in Mound Township in McDonough County. That's the only thing that survived from that 1890 census. So And then I have pretty much the same thing kind of going on here with the territorial censuses. And again, there's a lot of notes here because of things that are missing. And then state censuses, a lot of notes again, because certain counties were missing or it only had, like this one is only Cass, Madison, Putnam, and Tazewell County. So only 4 counties in 1845. That's pretty small. Whereas this one in 1840 was 35 counties that it did have, but it's still partial. So, but I'm just trying to collect certain pieces of information and give myself quick access to these things. So if they asked a question about, whether the 1835 state census was extant, I would be able to come here and say, no, it wasn't. And it only and I can tell them what counties it did have or didn't have. Not that they would ask that, but if they did, who knows? But in addition to, for try that again. For part 3, we have to do a little research project. So if I was told I need to, not told, but if my research plan included going to the state censuses for Illinois, all I have to do is click on the little link. I can come here and see what is available and then click on the link to go there and search it if I need to. So it's going to save me time. And this isn't just for ICAPGen either. This is turning into something a little bit more robust than my Word versions of the same stuff. And just having that ability to click on things and it take me right to where I want to go, that right there is going to save me just a ton of time. So, like I said, I have these kind of broken down into what I have to know, and what I kind of have to know, and what I probably should know, but it's not if you don't, kind of thing. Because you just can't know everything. That's what I've learned. So it's just little things like this. I don't even know what I have under some of these because I haven't worked on a lot of them yet. So, okay. For cemetery records, I actually do have a note in here that there are 7 national cemeteries in Illinois. I didn't expand on this or anything, but good to know. I do have some information on court records. I think it was talking about the different types of courts and when they were established, and even this early stuff. So back from 1717 to 1765, settlers in Illinois, or what became Illinois, were under French civil law. So I think people forget that those early colonial periods of time, when some of the rest of the country was under like a French or Spanish rule, they were following civil law, not common law. So things are very different. So that's just interesting. And then I just have notes, kind of looks like by year, different things that went on. And then I have the circuit courts and how they were established and what they are today and all that other fun stuff. And then a note about the city of Chicago established a superior court in 1859. And it was the Superior Court of Cook County since 1870, and it was abolished when the county courts were abolished in 1964. So it's just little tidbits of information in case I need to know it for whatever reason. I have it. So that's pretty much what I have. I just am going to keep building and adding to it. As I go, I'm going to be pulling from my current locality guide and adding to this, continue adding to it. And then once I get done with Illinois, I will start working on the other states that I have to do. It's going to be a long process, but we'll get it done. And then just, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a video on the source guide ones or not, but what I'm going to do is take these, because these are like source groups, so church records, court records, directories, etc. And what I'm going to do is in my references and resources database, I'm going to create one for each of these. They're, if I can color code them in some way, like I did here, I will do that as well. But really it's just to kind of have a place to have information about the source in particular, not as it relates to a particular state. So this is kind of state focused. And the source guides will be more source focused, if that makes sense. And I may decide that I don't need to do that. I may decide to do something different. I don't know, but the locality guides to me were a little bit more important at this point. So that's what I chose to work on first. So we'll just see what happens and kind of go from there. But thanks for joining me behind the scenes. And I hope you got a little something out of it. Kind of what I'm collecting in terms of a locality guide, how I'm using Notion for it. And if you want more information on Notion, there's a link in the description for this video. That's all I've got for you today. So you have a good one. I'll see you next time.